it's on tonight. Here we go, it's on tonight.
So welcome to another episode of Sketchbook Warrior. I'm Corey Smith. I'm a fellow sketchbook warrior just like you. And today what we're going to cover is the female front torso. And what you'll find with the female front torso is that the musculature is not as big and the shoulders not as wide. There's some major differences between that and the male structure. They have pretty much all the same muscles, just a few differences such as the size of them really. So just follow along, you have a good time, and hopefully you're making some great looking art together. Also, one thing I want you to try to understand is that when you have your sketchbooks, the sketchbooks is just an open world for you to just make whatever you want. This is your own universe that you can create anything. Create dinosaurs and dragon heads and flame come out the ears. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's your universe. Enjoy it. Make what you want. This is your universe. All right, so have a good time, and I'm having a good time. Enjoy the video, and like always, warriors, let's sketch. Okay, so for the female torso, we're going to start showing you the basic shapes you typically start with. The first one being the straight or slim figure, which is what you'll see commonly when people are really athletic, little body fat. And then you have the hourglass figure, which is more common for aesthetic purposes typically. I typically like the third shape I'm going to show you, which is the pear shape. But for today's purposes, we just stick with the hourglass, keep it simple. But there are more types in this, of course, but those are the three basic ones that you can focus on, and you can do a whole lot of sketching based on these three. And then you'll see all three of them together, and you see how the curvature of the lines go. You know, just for aesthetic purposes, and keep these lines in your mind, and it make drawing these things quite a bit easier. You can get an overall view, but like, oh, does it follow this, conform to the shaping? And if it doesn't, then maybe you got to go back and rethink this. Okay, so next we'll get into the more detailed view, a close-up of the muscles on the female form. The first one we're going to show you is the deltoids and the traps. And actually, most of the muscle groups on the female form are very big, unless they're bodybuilders in there, usually pretty large. So just keep that in mind with musculature women. It's an aesthetic form you got to kind of shoot for when it comes to women, because they are more curvy than they are cut and detailed. Then we're going to go into a few different items here. The sternum, which is that breastplate in the middle of the rib cage. The pecs, which women do have too. And then you have the lats, which don't show very often in women either, unless they're bodybuilders. And then there's also the serratus muscles, which don't show very much either. And there's also the abdominals, which they typically indicate that a lot. Then also next we have the obliques and the hips. The obliques connect that rib cage down into those hips. They lead into the hips a lot, so that's something to be aware of. But they usually don't have a lot of detail to them also. They'll show more in the back as far as detail goes. And the hips, they usually sit a little lower than you think. A lot of times when I was drawing, I confused the obliques as part of the hips until I did a little more research and study and found out that the obliques just lead into the hips. They're not exactly the same thing. They're two different parts. Just keep that in mind, be aware. now we're gonna get to a side view and show you how everything sits on the form on the sides. Of course, a lot of times the arms might be blocking this view, but for this purposes, we're gonna cut that arm in half and keep on going. Which the first thing you're gonna see is that the serratus and the obliques do also wrap around the torso, just like in the man. They just don't show very much, of course, because women don't typically have huge bulging muscles, and of course, unless they're bodybuilders. It's a time, place, everything. The muscles usually are smooth. They don't have less detail, lines or shading. Again, that's for aesthetic purposes. The more lines, shading, detail you give it, the more muscular they appear. Some people do it. I prefer not to. And that's because there's a layer of fat that's essential. You just think about the muscles, and there's a layer of fat that sits on top of those muscles. They're not very big, and there's a layer of fat, so everything looks a lot more smooth on a female form, the female body. Okay, and the first thing I want to show you in this 3/4 view is that the breasts, they don't typically pop out of the chest like a lot of people like to draw, a lot of artists like to show. Women even try to find push-up bras and look like that. They typically just kind of sit on top of the pecs. They're part of that muscle. So be careful about how you draw those. Sometimes a lot of people get them wrong, so you gotta take those with care and make them look real as possible. And then also like I said before, the obliques lead into the hips, but the hips kind of sometimes are different views. They poke out. The skinnier someone is, the more those hips poke out. And then also, the pecs line actually leads into the neckline a lot of times. Depending on what view you're at, it depends on how much it shows, but that's a nice little trick. If you can learn how to make that pec line lead into the neck, you're doing good. And then also the traps. You have a different arc for male and female. Females arc under, males usually arc over. And when they arc under, the smaller traps make the neck appear longer. So a lot of times women's necks just look a bit longer in drawings and in real life. Just keep that in mind. They're not really actually longer than males, it just looks longer. Now the shoulders, the width of the shoulders usually aren't much wider than the hips, if ever. I typically like to keep them within the boundaries of those hips. Because when you draw the shoulders larger, you make them look more bigger and make them look more masculine. Some artists do that, and I can notice it's like, ew, kind of like a guy, and it's not really a woman. And like I said, bodybuilding, great, but in a lot of drawing for aesthetics, not so great. So try to keep the shoulders within the realms of those hips. One thing I will make note of is that a lot of times when the shoulders raise up, and the arms raise up, the shoulders will get a bit of a bulge in them, may appear a little bit bigger, but that's typically the time I would put a larger bulge into the shoulders, because that's what kind of happens in real life. With the women have a raise arms up, just flat out like wings, and you see the bulge in their shoulders holding up those arms. Now, one thing you want to be really careful about when you're drawing the female form is the arch of the back. How you arc the back. A lot of times artists will start to arc that back and arc it too far, and it looks like they're breaking a person backwards. It's not good. So it's a limit. So if you go too far, you're going to break your image, and it's not cute. And then a lot of times they'll make the waistline look even slimmer just to try to force that arc into there. It has to be natural and fluid, or it looks crappy to me. I mean, do with it as you will at your peril, but be careful. And then lastly, there's the muscle separation in women is really rare. Women typically don't have a whole lot of muscle separation because, again, that makes them look a lot more masculine. Muscle separation itself is just basically when you have a lot of details in the muscles. You find that more with bodybuilders. They'll say muscle separation, so that's something to be aware of. But also keep those muscles a little bit smaller than you would a man and keep them in proportion. And last but not least, you are very powerful. You just gotta believe in yourself. All right, did you enjoy that? Did you learn something new? Hope you did. The female form can be complex in its simplicity, but hopefully learn something good, and now you can make some of your own beautiful artwork. And also, what you cover is make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be a subscriber. That way, when I make some new art, you be first to hear about it. Get right to your notification right away. Also, I would like to also see some of your work, so you can also send me an email at sketchbookwarrior@gmail.com. Also, you can find me on my website at customsmittyart.com. Also, don't forget to leave a comment and hit the like button. So also, one more thing, you gotta believe in yourself.
Here we go, it's on the 9.